figured I might as well do a quick post-ride breakdown of how my Fargo Street experiment went. Started with kind of watching some YouTube videos. Mitch Boyer.
Baxter Street was originally paved back in the late 1800s. Yes, it's that old. Back then, grid systems were all the rage with city planners.
Who rides in a lot of the same areas that I ride, and he did this amazing thing where he tackled 3 of these streets in one go. And these are some of the steepest streets in the United States. They were built before any standards on grading was in effect. The standard grades that you're only allowed to build a road at now is around 15 to 16% max. And at 15 to 16%, that's a pretty steep hill. So these were built, some of these were built in the 1800s, and this is before those standards were done. So these are at 32 to 33% respectively. According to Java, one section is 34%, and I believe it. So today I was just checking out to see how I would do on Fargo Street. And if I did okay, depending on how I feel, I would then move on to try Baxter. Needless to say, I only did Fargo. I was like, no, I'm not going to do anything else afterwards. So that's kind of how that went. Spoiler alert. So after getting out this morning around 7, I was kind of dealing with a lot of gremlins. I have a chest congestion kind of thing you can kind of hear, so I'm kind of recovering from that. You know, kind of knocked me a little low a couple days ago, and then I've just been feeling fine since, but it has sound and kind of coughing up. You know, anyways, you don't need the details. So I get out around 7 in the morning, and from the get-go, I'm not feeling my most fit. My bike isn't feeling the most fit. After the mud bath that I was in the week before, I had to do a lot of cleaning. Mud gets everywhere, and it's not 100%. I mean, I'd say 90-ish%. And so, I took parts apart, cleaning this whole 9 yards, still got some more to do apparently. Bike just wasn't feeling as fit. And I think actually part of that actually had to do to a really big mistake, which leads into another big mistake I made a little bit later on. First mistake is I'm used to my tire pressure being at a lower PSI, and that makes it more pliant. I've gotten used to the gravel bike. It's a little bit bouncier. Now on a road bike, you want stiff, firm tires, and that's normally what I ride with on a road bike. On a gravel bike, bigger tires. So, usually you want a little bit less PSI, and the tires become a little bit more bouncy. So you're kind of like really kind of coasting along. So I overinflated the tires because I was going to be on road mostly. And I miscalculated that. I really should have, because on road, you normally don't need as much. On road, you need more PSI. On gravel, you don't. On mud, you want a little bit less. So my tires were still at that PSI for mud. I went to the full load for street, and what I really should have done was just stick to the gravel. Stick to gravel. It feels different when you're on tarmac, when you're on road, but there's a reason why I think this was my mistake. So anyways, dealing with all this stuff, Wahoo's being weird, my heart rate sensor, I had to reset it, and blah, blah, blah. A lot of gremlins in the system to kind of work out. All fine. Finally get to the bottom. Well, I get to Fargo Street, and that was also one of the gremlins. I get to Fargo Street. I get to the wrong Fargo Street. There's 2 Fargo Streets. Well, it's the same technical street, but there's a freeway that kind of cuts in between them. So I went to the one on Silver Lake, and I was like, well, that doesn't seem very steep. 16% grade. I was absolutely confused. I climbed it. 16% grade is nothing to scoff at, but it's not 34%, right? It's a half of the gradation that I was expecting. So I climbed up Fargo, and I'm like, if this is what everyone's talking about, then Baxter's no problem. And then a very helpful jogger came by and was like, you're thinking of the street across the freeway. And she pointed, and I look over, and across the freeway, it was just terrifying looking hill, especially from that perspective. There's a picture of it I posted. It doesn't do it justice, especially after hitting 16% grade. And I was like, oh, that's Fargo. okay, crap. So now I'm a little anxious. My head's probably not in the right space. And dealing, you know, all this other stuff. So I go across, you know, over the underpass, and then get to the right side of the street over in Echo Park, not Silver Lake. And then I start going up Fargo, and gave myself a minute just to kind of breathe, you know, let my heart settle and everything before going up. So I was relatively fresh going into the climb, and I was doing okay. I was doing well. You know, I was up on my feet. I wasn't sitting back. I was, you know, because you're at such a high grade, you need to be up on your legs. You need to be up off the saddle and just, you know, leaning into it to gain, you know, to keep yourself balanced, because you're like really, the bike is like this coming up. So I thought I was doing well. I was going to take it nice and slow. No aspirations of king of the mountain. Just get up the hill and survive. I make it around 2/3 of the way up, and that's where it hit a certain level where I think it was just too much grade, because as I was you know, keeping my rotation going, suddenly the back tire just started spinning. No traction. Went once and I was like, that's not good. So I was trying to be a little bit slower. Twice, no traction. Third time, I was starting to go backwards, and that's when I was coming over, and I just fell. It wasn't like a long endeavor. It was just sort of a kaplunk. I couldn't get unclipped fast enough, and landed on somebody's stairs, and immediately got up, checked myself. My arm had a little scratch on it. Bike was okay. You know, it didn't hit my head. It was just like my arm and my shoulder. Okay. And both are fine. My hand, I was actually caught part of my hand. My hand's not broken. I know what that feels like, because I've broken my hand, catching myself in a fall. So, yeah, with that, I got up, I climbed the last, like, I don't know, like 100 feet or so, made it to the top, and then decided not doing the other climbs, and just came straight home. And so, do I feel like I have a future doing super steep climbs at around 30+%? Hell no. Is it something as an experiment that, you know, one should do? Maybe, if that's your thing. I like climbing. So, you know, if climbing's your thing, then give it a shot. But also don't be afraid to say that, you know, it's okay to, like, in a normal ride, I would never attempt a climb like that. I would get off my bike, I would walk my bike up to the top of that hill, and then proceed to continue cycling. That's the safe route, and that's normally what I do, and what I recommend. If you are, you know, a little bit of a daredevil, and you want to try something once, sure. Just make sure that you are doing it safely, and it's okay to, you know, fall and learn from it. Learn from your mistakes. That's, you know, that's what life's all about. All right, that's my post.